many Think Fast, Talk Smart episodes, a few themes have emerged repeatedly. Focus on your audience and their needs. Be present in the moment. Listen intently. Be concise and clear. The seeds of these ideas can be heard way back in our very first episode. As we approach our 100th, we thought it would be both fun and educational to go back to episode number 1, where I chat with my colleagues.
I really hope that it can hear me, because I don't want to have to do this again. And
I especially love
I'm just praying it picks up my mic.
offers people make and being willing to be obvious. I invite you to listen in and learn from this best of episode of Think Fast, Talk Smart, the podcast.
Pause.
Yeah, okay, pause. I paused.
Did you get anything out of that intro? Is there anything off of that intro that you take away from this?
It's mostly just the stuff that my professor has talked about in class.
Okay. And it talked about that this is a series, and that they're re-exploring episode 1.
Yeah, I've not seen episode 1. This was the only thing that was assigned to us.
Okay, do you have any other context for this series other than this singular episode?
I mean, it's supposed to be based off of it's supposed to relate this specific episode to our class. So.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to catch up to speed.
No, that's fine.
Interrupt.
No, that's fine.
Okay, but I will be asking to pause throughout because I like to interject.
Yeah, I understand.
I
do understand.
Yeah, and I want to be able to get all of our thoughts as they're happening.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to approach this assignment. I hope my professor doesn't mind listening to an hour of this. He could listen to this while he's on his lunch break or something like that.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
All right, you want to continue?
I do.
All right.
Let's go, Cass. Let's go, Cass.
Cass. My name is
Let's
not
go, Mom.
Cass.
Yeah.
When we think about our communication at work, we tend to focus on our presentations and meeting contributions that we know we should spend time preparing and practicing for. But if you think about it, most of our professional communication is spontaneous in nature. It's providing feedback in the moment, answering questions, introducing people. These spur-of-the-moment communication events can be as important, if not even more important, than our planned high-stakes communications. For most people, these impromptu situations are quite challenging. I am thrilled to invite two experts and good friends here today to talk about how we can become more comfortable and confident in these spur-of-the-moment situations. Let me start by introducing Adam Tobin. Adam's a senior lecturer in film and media studies here at Stanford University, and he's a teacher in continuing studies. Dan Klein is also a lecturer at Stanford, both at the Graduate School of Business as well as Theater and Performance Studies. And Dan also is an instructor at the D School. Adam and Dan, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
We all are involved with situations where the students we teach or the clients we coach feel challenged by spontaneous speaking. Can you share a little bit about where you think that challenge comes from? Why is this type of speaking so hard?
There's a moment when we feel that the pressure is on. Everyone's attention is on us and we have to perform. And the moment we have that self-conscious awareness, it's like our brain starts to short circuit. We go into a different set of systems. We're thinking about ourselves, we're thinking about how it looks, how we did. Sometimes we see this with improvisers specifically. There's another problem where if the pressure's on and you think you did really well, that also short circuits your ability to be present and in the moment. And it's amazing, people can shut down, or sometimes people can talk too much, where they can get, their voice can get hot. It's like their mind body is running away from that, doing everything except kind of what they need to do in the moment. But we are expert at that because for most of the time we're improvising. Nobody wakes up and writes the script of the day and everyone else goes along with that script. We're actually experts at improvising. It's just when we get put on the spot.
And when Adam says
That is a
Good
very.
pause. Good
I
pause.
already paused.
Good
Oh,
pause.
thank you. Were you about to say pause?
Yes. Yes. Good
See, I
pause.
can read your mind, actually. I can read your mind.
So what did you think about this first question and what these guys answered it? I mean, I can give you my thoughts, but this is your project. I want to hear what you have to
No,
say.
that's right. I was gonna pause because, like, I was gonna say, like, I agree. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a video of like Mark saying how like he talked about how he isn't that well structured. Like, like he goes off like a script, and then like he kind of falls off of that script as like he goes along because it's just easier for him to just act natural. And I've even like made plans for like pretty much every single day, but it's only rarely that it ever falls through exactly how I planned it because there are so many events that you can't plan for. Like that one day I had so much plans, but then there was a power outage. So there was really nothing that I could plan for that day. So I mean, I do plan for like the next few hours because the next few hours, like, not much can happen. But then what?
You plan for the power outage?
No.
I mean, how deep can the plans go?
Yeah. Well, you could. I mean, you could plan for like the next few hours, obviously, because like when you're in the same setting, you can plan for a certain amount of time. But like for an entire day, so much can happen throughout the day. If that makes sense.
So what about this guy's answer in the beginning about do you feel the pressure is on you to perform and that the spotlight is kind of focusing on you and it puts you in a box and that
Really, I
you know
mean,
what I
really,
mean?
I only,
Do you feel any of that kind of pressure or anxiety when it's up to you to when it's your
really, I
turn?
only feel that when I'm doing like a monologue by myself. If I have like a scene partner or scene partners, I feel fine. Like, I mean, if it's just me responding, I'll be fine because like I'll be going off a script, or if I'm like improving with a scene partner, it's fine because I have something to go off of. But like, if it's just me and I have like nothing to go off of, and I think we talked about this earlier before we started doing this,
He
yes.
did.
But then like my mind will just absolutely go blank. Like when I tried to memorize my monologue, when I had no script there, I was memorizing that monologue the entire day. But like when I was on stage, something just like my soul. Oh, Cass just left. Oh no. Yeah, my soul just kind of levitated into the air or something like that. Like I was not present. I was not like present. It's like my soul just kind of left me. So that's why I need something to like. I'm fine with like making stuff completely up on my own. I just need like I need like a little prompt, like something to jump off of. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, no, and I absolutely know what you're saying because I think that I might even need that
well, I
too.
think a lot of
In
people
a
do, and
sense.
it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as he was saying, like we all start waking up in the day. We kind of just go about our lives. We have a schedule, of course, and we have things we plan to do, but the specifics of like how we do stuff and unplanned events, and there are various sorts of things that can happen and can alter.
What do you think about
Go on.
what do you think about people that can pull that off though? That it seems to come easy for or to that have that ability to
Well,
you know what I mean? To have that spotlight and just come up with it on the fly. A con man, let's say, right? Someone that has to improv and someone that has to be able to
I mean, I think.
Respond off of you. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
like
I'm
how
using
like
Tom
Robin
Rand, but
Williams was able to come up with shit like instantly.
just right out of his head off the bat. Not only that, but it'd be weird and crazy, but it would also kind of make sense with the whole theme of what he's doing.
I mean,
It's kind
I
of
think it just comes down to the simple matter of the fact that like some people's brains are faster. It's not really your ability to improvise. It's just how quick
you can't learn it. You either have it or you don't, or can you learn it? Do you
I
have it or
think
you
there.
don't,
I
or
think.
how does that work?
I mean, I think there. It's kind of like pretty much like every skill. I mean, some people are born better singers than others, but then there are others who are like who.
They can put in the work.
Put in the work and
get
just
there, too.
sound almost, if not just as good. I mean, it's some people. Some people have it, and some people can like develop it over time. So.
That's true.
That's
It is
true.
true.
And
I guess what separates all of it are the ones that have it and put in the work to develop it and to make it. Those are the ones that separate out from the rest of us, I guess. In my mind.
I am like so worried that the microphone isn't working, but like we've already like come this far, and I don't want to like stop. I don't want to like stop. I don't want to like stop it. But like I should have done a mic test, not just a mic test on you, but a mic test on me as well.
I was
sure. Well, I mean,
I hear you.
No, I just want to know if the like.
One question. Isn't this
We've
the?
only been through one.
We've only been through one question. Isn't this the time to do it? If we're going to do it, let's just check. Just check and see.
It's better to
do it now than to have a wasted whole.
right?
Yeah, but then like, it's gonna be in 2 parts. I'll just. It says that it's on. I'll just assume that it is on.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go.
Unless do
Do you have
else
anything else to add?
No, I think we said it all. Or
Okay.
I've run out of
Okay.
thoughts.
Okay.
Okay.
Me and Adam. He means like humanity. Like,
We are experts.
we are experts.
That's true. You are. That's why you're here.
Just want to make sure
But everyone.
we all are experts.
And we see this in lots of high-stakes situations. I think of athletes who for years have been practicing what they do, but in that high-stakes situation, that pitch, that putt, where all of a sudden they fail or they struggle because of that over-awareness that you're talking about.
Before we start
getting into specific tips and tricks about how to manage in these situations, I really think a lot of what you guys teach has to do with mindset and approach. Would you guys like to talk about that approach that you take?
One of my favorite stories is that when I first moved to the Bay Area before GPS, that's how ancient
That's
it was.
deep.
I would go to San Francisco every time I would get lost, every single time. And it wasn't until the 7th or 8th time that I got lost, and I looked up and I said, I don't know where I am, but I've been lost here before. And if I just make a right and a right, I'll get back on the freeway and I know how to get home. And for me, that was a mindset shift. That was, I don't need to have all the answers. I need to be present enough to kind of find a way to solve the answers. I need to be okay enough, comfortable enough being uncomfortable that I can plug in. And our mentor, Patricia Ryan Madsen, who wrote this great book, Improv Wisdom, when I told her that story, she said, no, you missed the point. The point is to get lost on purpose and discover what you find. And for me, that was another mindset.
I love that. I love that. I've been trying to run a little bit more in my life. I probably started running after GPS. So, and I find that it's really exciting to go out and try to get a little bit lost. I was running near my house the other day in Oakland, and I was going to go the way I know to get home, and I thought I'll just get a little bit lost. And I turned right, and literally half a block, they made a native plants park in between 2 streets. It was 10 yards away from where I was, and I had a walk in nature, completely transported, and I would have never had that if my mindset wasn't get a little bit lost. Take the slightly less traveled path.
And in speaking, if you're present, if you go just a little bit someplace you had
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
About getting lost on purpose?
Yeah,
Only because from what I know of you, I would think that would just kind of throw your anxiety into a loop.
I
Yeah,
don't know, but tell me.
I don't know, but tell me, what do you think?
I mean, I kind of get what they're saying about like getting lost on purpose, but I mean,
Okay.
I don't think you have to have like a purpose to get lost. Like even if you're lost on accident, like it's good to find your way out of a situation. Like
It is.
it
It
is,
is.
yeah. And I think if it comes if you're like more naturally lost, like I think having to figure out your way out of a situation like that, like it kind of puts your mind like fast. It kind of makes your mind think a little faster than if you were to do it on purpose, because like the pressure is actually on for you to like get out of this situation and like find the solution to your problem, like getting your way out of San Francisco, or in my case, the middle of Times Square.
Right, New York.
Right, New
Yeah.
York. Well, let me ask you then, because this ties back to the first question then. Do you feel that pressure that it's on you and that this is,
That you have to perform,
that you have to perform and that
the spotlight
the
is
spotlight
gets bright.
gets bright?
Do you feel that
Do
when
you feel that when you're
lost in New York?
lost in New York
And you need
and you need to,
Oh yeah, well,
it's up to you.
it's up to you?
I definitely felt a lot of bit of pressure because like I I did not want to like leave Mark on hanging. I didn't know what to do. It was overstimulating. It was a lot. There were a lot of external factors that but I mean that's just getting lost in New York though. That's not exactly the same as performing on stage. You know, I'm a little bit more comfortable in
No.
Cole Hall stage rather than, you know, being on Times Square.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it's not exactly the
Well, it's
same.
not exactly the same,
what
but
your
part of
professor
what your professor is looking for
how
is how
these things
these things
translate
into your everyday
life.
life.
That is true. And I mean, of course, improvisation like would translate into my life to, like as an actor and as a musician, especially since I want to go into like jazz and oh, that's a bunch of improv and oh
Which
yeah,
is improv.
Which is
that
improv,
is true. Like
exactly.
next semester, I will be taking jazz band again, and I did have a little bit of trouble uh, improvising. Like we would go around and like I was like, oh god, it's gonna be my turn again, and then like I felt like I didn't have enough skills to like go off of, and like acting I could just like it feels like it comes more naturally off of me, but then like with improvising with music, like you have to sort of I feel like I have to think a little bit more when it comes to improvising with music, because like with music there is, and I guess there is with theater too, but like there's a little bit more rules and there's a little bit more structure in music, because you know music theory you have to like improvise within like certain chords, and you can't really play wrong notes, or like I mean you can play wrong notes, but then like
Doesn't jazz
destroy all of that though? I mean, the whole
but it
concept
still
of
has to
jazz is
sound
to break
nice.
those.
Like you have like if you do play a wrong note, you have to recover quickly, and that's
Sure.
Sure.
that's
Because you want to stay cohesive with your band.
and you have to
still
also
want
like think fast and like how it can recover and like sound like you meant to mess up. And it has to be like it has to sound it still has to sound good. You can't just like
Sure.
you can't just go on like a piano or a trumpet and play random notes. That's not exactly the same as improvisation. There still is
Correct.
there still is a little bit of structure when it comes to improvisation. It's free, but it's not. It's like freedom in America. It's free, but
It is.
the
It
free
is.
is in quotation marks. You're not
It
there are
is.
It
still laws
is.
that you have to follow. And that's
Way to
bas-
go.
Way to go.
No, that's great.
No,
That's a
that's
good way to
great.
look
That's a
at it.
good way to look at it. That's a good observation that you pointed out.
See, I just start talking and then stuff just kind of flows out of me. See, that's why I need somebody else to like guide me through it, because or else I would have just had my mind clouded and it wouldn't have been as easy for shit to flow out of my mouth like this.
That's what
improvisation is also, right? Being able to free form and to
Oh.
get that flow.
to get that flow, because we started somewhere
completely
completely different.
Yeah, exactly. And that just means I made some progress. We made progress.
Or at least
that's
what
because I'm
here
improving
with you, I suppose, and
Yeah, but I mean,
I thought I'd feel that pressure, but I'm not feeling the pressure like I thought I would.
I think, I mean, it's just a
interesting.
conversation between us, though. It's the same. It's the only difference is that it's being recorded. I hope it's being recorded.
I'm still
I'm still
a bit uneasy, but it helps though, because you help make it comfortable for me. So thank you.
And I'm
ready to continue playing when
Me
you are.
too.
Unless you have any other
Unless you have any
No.
other thoughts.
Okay.
Okay.
It may feel terrifying at first, but you're only going to discover new things.
That I think is really the crux of what hinders a lot of people in these situations is that ability to let go. There is such pressure to do it right. The expectation is that I've been asked to do this, or I need to do this, and I want to do it right. And I know in your experience and in a lot of the improvisation that you bring to the work you do, letting go of the getting it right is really important. So can you share some ideas about how we get out of our own way? There's a wonderful saying that comes from the world of improv, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but this notion of dare to be dull. And when I have the audacity to be in front of my
What, you
MBA
wanna
students
pause
and say,
again?
dare to be dull, and it sucks the air right out of the room, because I immediately have to follow it up with why, and would one of you like to help
Okay.
articulate?
It's pause again.
Okay.
Okay.
You have something to
say about this?
Oh, well, my professor
I
says
find it interesting.
I find it interesting.
so. I can expand on that because, well, first off, what do you think it means? What do you think it means to dare to be dull?
Well, for me, I
think it is that experimentation that
you're going to try something
that may not work.
or
that doesn't fit with what you're doing.
because it's improv.
Right? You're trying something out of the box,
and I think you have to lose
the fear of
attempting it
it
for the sake of making the art. I don't know how to word it.
No.
That's what I would think.
That's what
I
I would
get
think.
But
Tell me.
So basically, what my professor says is that basically, like, it's okay to just like not have an extremely funny story. Like, you don't have to like go and be beyond and above and beyond having just like random ass wacky shit, which is kind of hard for me because like you've seen the videos you've seen my personality, like wacky shit it like naturally comes out of my mind, like, so it's kind of hard to like being dull when like I'm naturally not dull. Or
correct.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but like if you're in an improv scene and like all you're basically doing is just like buying groceries with the other person, there isn't like any sort of weird random ass monster that comes in and like destroys the grocery store. Oop, I lost my hair tie. Oh, there it is. Okay. It doesn't have to it doesn't have to have like any monster. Like it could just like be a normal day with two people just randomly buying groceries.
Walking to a
Because
grocery
sometimes
store.
life is
Okay.
mundane and it reflects on life. It's just natural to have a regular conversation with humans without having some sort of monster. And sometimes that works. Like, have you ever heard of
Okay.
like bottle episodes of like TV shows?
Say that again.
Say that again.
Bottle episodes.
Bottle?
Yeah, so the bottle episodes is like it doesn't really like have anything sort of like exciting. Like the primary example would be the fly episode in Breaking Bad, where
Okay.
it's basically just Jesse and Walt like in the lab chasing after a fly, and they like have conversations. Another example would be like there's a Family Guy episode with just Brian and Stewie, and they're locked in the vault of a bank. It's basically two characters in one setting, and like the entire episode is basically just like developing the relationship between the characters. And sometimes that's what people just want to see, just like a relationship build up between two characters. They don't want to see some sort of random ass weird monster.
Character
Yeah.
building.
They don't want to see like some random ass monster go up and destroy the grocery store. They just want to see like two friends talking about like the prices of chocolate milk or something, because that's relatable.
And I understand that
Yeah.
concept. Yeah, I understand that.
I get it.
I get it.
And you're right.
And you're right. I mean, whoever is saying that, I
correct.
think is
It
correct.
doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be all about
It can be
whatever.
just
It can be just
people getting to know each
people
other.
getting to know each other.
Exactly. All right. Oh shit! Not my hair tie again. Ha. Okay. You want to continue?
Yes, I think so.
Yes, I
Okay,
think so.
we'll continue.
I was trying to think if there was
anything else I wanted to add, but I think
Yeah,
we're
I think we
okay.
said a lot.
Why?
Why? Daring to be dull is so liberating.
It's exactly that. It's liberating because it takes the pressure off. We are so driven to be interesting. Our mentor, Patricia Ryan Madsen, she had a mentor in improvisation. It's Keith Johnstone, so he's like our grand mentor. He said these like our fear of being seen as unoriginal is one of the most inhibiting fears
My
that
hair
we carry.
tie is
And
about
so
to break.
the
I
idea
swear.
of like dare to be dull or be obvious. Be obvious is the most powerful creative mantra that there is. He said when you're trying to be original, you sound like everyone else trying to be original. But when you're obvious, you're yourself. And that's what's genuine. And if the obvious thing you say is what everyone else was thinking, then they'll just think you're brilliant for saying it. And if your obvious thing is different, then that's actually genuinely original.
Right, and that obvious thing is kind of your
What?
voice, right? But it's also true. You're not putting on any kind of
He did.
fake
What?
version.
He basically, to me, he basically said that whatever decision you make is going to end up being the right one. And
I think that when
you come
the decisions
to decisions to be made in your life, that
there are
let
me phrase it a different way.
I
I
guess.
believe
I believe that there are consequences to all of our decisions,
whether they be
outstanding, good,
favorable
consequences,
or otherwise.
Oh yeah, Yeah,
person.
exactly. Consequences are just like, they don't necessarily have to be bad. They just have a negative connotation. They're just like the whatever happens after the direct impact of your decision.
Right,
and you're right also in that it's negative. It's I'm even talking about favorable consequences, because if you make good decisions, then that will happen.
And I'm not saying
that this person did that, but
I
thought I heard him say
is that if you make this decision
or if you make the polar opposite decision, it'll all still come back to the same result.
And I don't know if that's
true.
true. I don't know if I believe that. Maybe in this setting, that's true. But and your professor asks you to take these things beyond the theater or into your life. It isn't. And it's bad advice to think that whatever decision you make is going to end up being a good decision. I don't think so. I think that you can make bad choices. And you can make good choices. And you can make good choices. And you can make neutral choices. All that's possible and true. And once you make it, there's no real way to find out, if it was the best choice or if it was right or not. You can only hope that it was something that benefited your
I mean,
your
I
long
do.
term or your short term.
I do
Whatever.
like what you're saying, and I do like the fact that you can be able to like disagree with whatever these people are saying. But I think the bottom line, I think the point that they're trying to make is like, it doesn't. I don't think it matters what. I think what they're trying to say is it doesn't really matter what outcome it is. It's just they just want you to act natural, and whatever outcome you do end up getting, whether that is good or bad or somewhere in between. At least you were natural. At least it was yourself. And if it wasn't the way you wanted it to be, then that's how you recover or how your scene partner can recover you. And then
Is that how you take it?
I mean, that's how I
you're
interpreted
perceiving
it.
what they're saying?
That's how I interpreted it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it's
All right.
Okay.
yeah, it's
All right.
just that it's just you acting natural, and however outcome you get, you naturally respond to that, and then you just keep on going. You just let it all out, let it all hang out for the world to see.
Right.
You're
Right.
right.
No, right.
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 Yes. Right.
Right.
All right.
Let us hang
Just
out.
let us hang
Let
out.
it all hang out.
You got that right.
You got that
yeah.
right.
Mm.
Oh yeah. All right. I'm so nervous. I am still so nervous to see how this is gonna turn out, but whatever it is. My friend just DM'd me. I'm in the middle of recording. Okay. Let's continue.
Of yourself
Okay.
to try to impress people. You're actually dealing with what's going on, what's in your head, what your reaction to the
There's
thing
another
is.
message.
There's another message that we got from Keith Johnstone and from Patricia that I've personally found really
That's you.
powerful.
See, I'm
And I-
already that plot twist. That was actually already me. I just went by a different last name. Dun dun dun. Oh my gosh, no! But it is weird to hear my name because like it's not. I mean, it once was a common name back in like the World War II era, but like not many people use it anymore. So like whenever I do hear my name, but it's referred to somebody else, I get really weirded out. Like whenever Cliff says, because whenever Cliff says my name in the chat, but it's like referring to somebody else, I get so confused every single time because I'm like, how does he know my real life name? But no, I don't think he does know my real name. I think he only knows me as Ma, but it's still really weird to hear my name. That had nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
That's just the name. Anyways.
No, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
I use it in my teaching
all the time, and that is
shoot for average
and
fail
fail cheerfully.
And when I tell students that,
especially here at Stanford, these high-achieving students, I can tell that they don't really believe it. They laugh, they're sort of guarded, and they're still sort of holding themselves back. But over the course of 10 weeks of practicing doing this, of doing it with other people, of getting the experience of that playful support, being able to fail and have it still work out, I start to see the armor crack. I see them emerge and show up as themselves, which is something that they've been holding back.
There's so much pressure to be
You just say pause?
outstanding and original.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. This is I suppose in the concept of the theater or whatever that this is all fine. Your professor is asking you to take these concepts out into the real world and how they apply to your world, and it's not smart to apply what these people are saying to your world.
That, I mean,
It's okay to fail. It's okay to that is not true, and it's not something that you should be hearing. You know what I mean? I'm having a problem with
I
this.
no, I get what you're saying and I get what they're saying. I think that they're just I get their points. I just think that they're not it's not the exact wording. Like it's
Okay.
um basically it's okay. They're trying it's not like okay to like fail per se, but it's okay to like make mistakes. Like as long as you recover.
Well, that's where I have a problem too, because it's not okay. I mean, people make mistakes that they happen, right? But you don't want to do it, right? Or I don't
No, but
want
you
to.
you don't
I
want
mean,
to.
it's going to happen because I'm not perfect and I'm a human being, but
It's
it's
not the fact that
maybe I'm
it's
hearing it
not the
wrong.
fact that you like. I think what they're trying to say is the fact that like you don't. They're not saying that like go out and like try to make as many mistakes as possible, but like
Well, they're not saying that. You are correct. They're not
but
saying
if you
that.
like do make a mistake, it's not like something to like panic over. Like if you do make
And I get that too. I get that also, I guess.
like
I guess what I'm hearing though is that because I'm saying that people are just going to make mistakes anyway. Without the intent of trying to, not trying.
but I mean of course you
I'm not saying it right. Let me just stay silent and I'll try to hear them out. Okay, I don't want to speak too much without really knowing what I'm saying yet. So I apologize, Mom. I'm
it's
sorry.
fine.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Break the paradigm. And the truth is that we can't actually get to those spaces if we're protecting ourselves. We need to allow ourselves to play and discover and be authentic. I think those skills can be learned over time. You can, as Dan said, the more you do it, the more you tap into something kind of true instead of trying to wow everybody with this false version.
I really think this is critical to take the time to understand how much pressure we put on ourselves and how much judging we do of ourselves that gets in the way of us actually being able to do what it is we want to do. And that notion of reflecting on what happens if it doesn't go well, accepting the failure, really is liberating. We are certainly not saying that this is the only way to communicate. All of us agree. There are situations where we need to do what we traditionally do, prepare, plan, the wording has to be right. But to flex these other muscles and be able to have another approach so we can choose in certain situations to turn off the evaluation and the judging and act in another way.
Well, in Patricia's book, in the opening,
In my book.
when I go to a surgeon, I certainly want a surgeon who is prepared and schooled up and knows what they're doing. But I also want, if something goes wrong, for them to be able to be present and improvise. Also I would
Does
like
that answer does that basically answer or does that address your concerns?
I wanted to mention first, congratulations on the
Haha.
book. Appreciate that.
But
That was great.
ah,
they're addressing it, yes, and maybe that's I'll just let them talk going forward, but you should still pause, I think, periodically throughout, so we can discuss at least the topics that they're mentioning or
No, I
bringing
get
up.
it. I just wanted to know if
I mean, so
that was that addressed.
yeah, I'm listening to this guy, and I'm still I'm kind of on the fence, May, because if it's within the context of the theater, like what they're talking about, then I get it because I don't know that world. So maybe that's all true, and maybe that
It does
applies. But
certainly apply.
when your professor is saying, that how do these concepts translate outside of this and in the real world? I've lived in the real world, and I'm telling you that it there's a different way to approach it, is what I'm getting at. And maybe improv is the right way because we have to live life through improv because we don't know what life is going to throw at us.
Exactly.
So it's all an improv as far as living your life day to day. I get that, but just think that if you can, this is why I tell you, May, that when you prepare and when you put in the time and when you know what I mean? When you block out all the other stuff that's important to you, and that you give up on those things that you love in order to
do an assignment.
in order. I'm kind of losing my focus, but anyway,
Do you want me to continue on the video so you can like re-stimulate your brain? Okay.
I do.
Well,
I do, and I'm sorry for interrupting.
No. That's fine. That's what you're here for. Hopefully, Cass can return before the end of the video. All right, let's go.
To talk to me about what's going on. I think if you get expert enough in your material, then that frees you up to be more connected, more conversational, because deep down, I know this. Sometimes we'll do an exercise where we'll have somebody tell the story of their name, just some story about their name, first name, middle name, last name, whatever, or tell a story about what they did this weekend, and remind them that when you're an expert on
I think you should tell a story about your name, and I'll tell a story about mine.
Okay, so my name comes from my great-grandmother. Her name was Patricia Bachman. She was the mother of my grandmother, so my mother's mother's mother. She was born in 1912, so very much old, and she died January 31st, 1995. And my mother was very close to her, so that's why she named me after her. And yeah, so she still mourns her to this day, and like whenever it thunders, she thinks she imagines her grandma bowling up in heaven, which I think is sweet, even though I don't believe in that. But and the other side of this is my dad. My dad didn't really like that name because my grandfather, his father, dated somebody with that name, and and he much prefers to call me Trisha because that full name reminds
him of
and she also went by Patty, which I don't like the name Patty in general, so that's why I don't go by it. But like he hates when people call me that as well because it reminds him of that person. And I also feel really weird when like sometimes he'll call me by my full name with the PA as like a joke, and I'm like, that's so weird. Just call me Trisha. And yeah. No, hi Cass. I was just talking about my name.
Cass is back.
Hi Cass.
Welcome. You were saying.
Yes, but I much prefer like certain people to call me certain things. Like online, you guys call me Ma or May, and I much prefer that. And then like my family calls me by Trisha, and that's always been how it is. Even my mom kind of calls me it, if she doesn't call me by other nicknames anyway. But and then like people in my professional life, like
I heard one.
oh yeah, people in my professional life call me by my actual name, and I'm just fine with that. And I just prefer certain people to call me a certain thing. And whenever I'm in class, people will always be like,
Yep.
"Okay, do you go by this full name?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." Not Pat or Patty? No, 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 no. I mean, they can call me Trisha if they like, but I just much prefer if I'm just more used to my family calling me that, and it's mostly just like a close people thing, and it just depends on who you are in relation to me, and that depends on what you can call me, if that makes sense.
Can I ask you
What?
something else? Was your great grandmother's Patricia, was she also called Trisha?
No, not to my knowledge anyway. I don't know much
No.
about her actually, because like I said, she died before I was born. But
But your mother thought so fondly of her. She doesn't recant stories to you. I mean, you are her namesake after all.
I mean, it's not really a thing. Like, I don't want to go in at, I mean, unless, like, I ask about it, you know. I don't want to, ask her. I mean, you wouldn't want to ask people about, like, their dead relatives unless they're comfortable talking about it. You know, I don't want to bring up, like, memories like that.
I do understand that, but do you understand that if they didn't want to talk about it, then why name you after that person? You know what I mean?
Well, it's,
I mean, doesn't that force?
I mean,
them
it's not
to
really a thing
be
it's not really a
reminded?
thing I think about. I mean, I already kind of know what I need to know mostly, and it's not
Okay.
really something that usually needs to come up a lot.
Okay. I mean, I have a similar story, I guess, to
You
you.
want to share it?
Mine was I may have already. I don't know, but
I know
I
your middle
will.
name.
My yeah, it's the same as your
Brother's name.
brother's
Yes.
name, and also the same as kind of your
Kind of.
the feminine version of
Well,
your
that's
name.
kind of why he was named Patrick, because of my name.
I see. So you're both named after you both of you.
Technically,
you and
yes.
your brother are named after the same
Technically,
person.
yes.
Isn't that interesting? And yet there's no stories or talking about
Well,
this person.
I mean, because it's not really something.
Beyond your own questions.
Well, it's not really something that, like, we need to talk about. We mostly, I mean, because she died in, like, 1995, it's not really something that really comes up a bit. Mostly my mom just talks about, like, her modern job, her modern work, and I talk about what's going on in my life with college. We mostly talk about the present. We don't really talk about back in, like, 1975 or, no, my mother was not alive in 1975. Back in, like, 1985, I guess.
Yeah. That's when Back to the Future was.
Marty McFly, baby. Oh.
You recognize.
Everybody knows Marty McFly. Everybody knows that he tried to get with his mother. And that's
I know.
You know what's crazy? We like
Calvin Klein.
we are close. We are like Back to the Future was closer to 1955 than it is to present day.
Yes.
And I just find that absolutely fucked up. I mean, if we were to go back to the go back to back 30 years ago, like they did in the movie, we would be in almost 1995.
I know.
And they were in 1985, going back to 1955. So it's just.
I know.
Oh, Lord.
Dude. And I remember all those years,
No, you
1995 and
Be
1955
so
and
for real. I know
what
the
about
year you were
but what
born. I know
about
the actual year you were born, Ed. Don't lie to
what
me.
about Back to the Future? What about Back to the Future? Back to the Future 3? Didn't they go like into the Old West
I've never seen the
18
sequels. I'm gonna be
like
honest,
18?
never seen the sequels, only the original. I knew
Oh,
they had sequels, I just
can I
don't really know much about the sequels beyond the fact that they exist.
two was good. That's worth
Do
watching.
they still have
Also,
Christopher Lloyd
three,
and Michael?
maybe not, but two
Do they
is
still
good.
have Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox or? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. It's worth it. I wouldn't steer you wrong.
No, I
it's
trust
worth it.
you.
Yeah, you should. You can.
Not as much as I trust Gregg Turkington, though.
Well, even I understand that. I get that.
You know, the actual, although you know what, the
great.
actual Gregg
It's
Turkington did
great.
not like the real one, not the character from On Cinema. The actual Gregg Turkington did not like E.T. movie, the E.T. movie, which I find crazy.
Why
I don't-
not?
Did you see it?
Did you see it?
I haven't seen the full thing. So maybe he's right. Maybe
See
he's
the part
right.
where E.T. was all
I think he just didn't buy into
dead
the
and
hype or
metaphor.
whatever, but I don't know. This is not about improv. This is about Gregg Turkington. Oh, my
I know.
professor's
Being
not gonna
kind of
know who
straight and pompous.
not gonna know who the hell that is, and which is honestly sad.
Well, yes, he will. Do you know how he'll know? Because Gregg Turkington is a famous film critic. So of course he's gonna know who Gregg Turkington is.
Oh.
He's a film critic.
Five full bags of popcorn with extra butter.
Got that right.
You get extra.
Extra butter
extra hot butter.
and 5 cups of soda.
That's Ric Flair.
Woo! You know, this video is 22 minutes long. We are only 11 minutes in. The recording is 51 minutes.
We're
The
halfway
recording
through.
is 51 minutes long. That means we have talked
You
a
have a big editing job in front of you.
No, I'm not gonna edit. This is a raw cut. This is going up as is.
Raw cut.
Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? You're gonna get
Nah,
Maybe we should get back on topic.
Okay.
What do you think, Mom?
What do you
Okay.
think, Mom?
On the material, you don't have to have every word perfectly staged. If you build a comfort in your material, then you can be a little more free-flowing in how you present.
Being present-oriented is really critical in what I'm hearing us discuss. And I know a lot of improvisation requires or invites that kind of present orientation. So I'd like to hear from each of you a bit about how present orientation helps in spontaneous moments. And also, let's include in that this notion of listening. Many of us in a Q&A situation where people are asking us questions or asking for our feedback feel that in that moment we are being challenged, that we are being evaluated, and I know attacked in some cases. And I know improv has a lot to say about this notion of offers and opportunities. Do you want to make mention of that? I think that reframing these situations as a positive versus a negative can make a big difference.
One of the improvisers' mantras is that there are always offers coming at us from all different directions, and that we should notice those offers. So an improviser goes on stage with absolutely nothing planned, and just the posture of their partner coming on stage will say, that person is just a little slumped, or that person is a little proud, and I'll notice that, and I'll treat it as an offer, and now I'll have a sense of what we're beginning to do on stage. So there are these offers everywhere. And our audiences, for sure, are giving us offers all the time.
In the moment when an audience member is challenged, when they ask a question that might have an aggressive tone to it, something that might put you on the defensive, especially if you're not that confident about that specific area, one of the things that I learned as a facilitator, I was taught, and I've seen it happen over and over again, that person is the most engaged. That's what they're showing you. They are engaged, and they are the best opportunity. It's not a fight. You're not going to fight with them, but they're an opportunity. So take that energy, get delighted. Whenever something goes wrong on the improv stage, improvisers just get excited. They get their eyes light up, and they go, "Oh, good. What can we do with this?"
It's live. It's an opportunity. It's new information.
I am surprised that I'm the one that has to say this, but yes and.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
So
Right.
someone challenging you, someone being
If I had a
negative or-
nickel every time my professor said yes and,
You know why they do that?
You know why they do that? I do.
of course I do. My professor says it all the time. Because
Just because he says it doesn't mean that he explains what it means or why.
no,
he
he
says
also
it, right?
explains it all the time as well.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what he always says is that, like, because if you say no all the time, it doesn't get anywhere. But you also have to add something, because
Correct.
it doesn't get you anywhere.
Yes, and.
Well, yes, that's what the rest
Yeah.
of it is, right? It's whatever your improv is.
Yeah, the and part is where you add into it, because if you don't add on to it, then
Your
then
improv,
you kind of just leave
exactly.
the other person hanging, and that's not safe, that's not legal, that's not
Can't do that,
ethical, and
that's
that's not
bad.
classy. No, is it?
That's bad.
That's
Exactly.
bad.
That's not
Exactly.
bad,
That
eh?
is awful. Nobody will want to improv with you if you don't
Add something. Yeah, I
get along
know.
with them.
Can I
Interject something before you?
We are interjecting.
Have you
Have I
seen?
seen?
Have you seen a show called Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Heard of it, never seen it.
Heard of it? Okay.
Heard of it? Okay. Well, it's exactly what we're talking about here. It's a complete improv. What they'll do is they'll
just to give you a
brief summary.
ask the
They'll
audience,
ask the audience a topic.
and then the
performers that are on the stage, they'll call out either all or some or one of them
to
come out, use the topic that the audience has come up with, and perform
whatever that
task is or whatever that thing is. It's
pretty brilliant.
I mean, I'm surprised that you haven't.
It's great to see.
It's great to see improv in action.
I mean,
guess.
it sounds
I
interesting,
want to be an improv.
but I mostly watch cartoons, so like, besides,
You know that's not improv in any regard.
I know.
Complete script.
Well, except for home movies. Home movies was a lot of home movies was improv, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, see now
That is an interesting tidbit, and I think that's something that you should bring to light in your class, then, right? That this particular show isn't scripted.
Well, I mean, they kind of like had like a general outline. Same with On Cinema, like The Trial. We've watched The Trial together, right?
Yes.
All of Tim's reactions completely improv. So I mean, not all of those shows are okay. On Cinema is not. That is the second time I've referenced that show. That is, I mean, that's not. I mean, a lot. Also, Space Ghost. A lot of.
It's all bullet points.
It's all bullet points.
It's
Yeah,
bullet.
points.
They have general
Yeah,
outlines of
bullet
what they say, but like. A lot of these shows aren't as scripted as you say. There's a lot of ad lib that goes on. I think same with like 12 Ounce Mouse as well.
that
Like
makes
a lot of
sense.
those shows, like they have general outlines, but then like the humor just comes from like same with Aqua Teen. All of these shows, they just kind of like have a general outline, and then they kind of like spill, and whatever is funny gets in the cut, and what it doesn't gets on the cutting room floor. Or no, wait.
And I
Absolutely, I can concur with practically everything you said there. That's
And that's how I like to do it. I like to see I like to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. That's how I like to approach life. But Sometimes that doesn't always work.
Have you done improv then in your theater? And when you do it with one or with several?
It
How do you
depends. It's mostly one other person, but sometimes there is a group involved. Shut up, Cass. Shut up. With all the love and due respect, I am not actually throwing literal monkey shit. God damn it. God.
They do that in Wisconsin, though. I heard they take cow patties and throw them
Ew.
for distance.
Ew.
No, it's like an event, like the fair.
No. Ew. Is that real, Cass? Can you confirm?
She hasn't confirmed it, but I did hear it from somebody from Wisconsin. I just don't know who. I did. I thought it was Cass, but she says no.
Ew. That's disgusting. I hope my professor enjoys this.
Hard dried up.
Shut up! You know, my grandpa used to call it barnyard gold.
Well, apparently you can burn that stuff.
What?
For fuel. For fuel, yeah.
Oh.
Who knew?
Oh. Well, at least it makes it useful.
I mean, I bet it smells
Shut
great.
up. Oh my god.
I'd like to cook a s'more.
I would actively lose my sense of smell.
Get that mesquite.
No.
Get it all smoked in there.
I would purposely go nose blind to do that job, and even then, ew, Cass, stop that.
Come on, Cass. We need you on the microphone.
Yeah, we need your added thoughts to this. We don't need you typing it. My professor can't hear you. He can't see you. He can only see the screen. You can only hopefully hear my voice and Ed's voice, if all goes well.
And
mine, yes.
Oh yeah, you're being muted or something, aren't you? That sucks. For you.
I hope you can hear me.
It would be terrible if all he could hear was me, right?
Oh shit!
Are we losing focus? Get back on track.
Yes, we are losing focus. Hopefully, it'd be hilarious to hear just a kind of like you and like no response, because that would make it twice as ridiculous. We've already hit the hour mark. Jesus Christ.
You didn't think it'd be this long.
No, we're only like 60% of the way. We've only actually watched 13 minutes of this, and that means we've like just talked like for like over 40 minutes, just talk.
Hey, but there's at least 20 minutes worth of good analysis.
No, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, not some talk about Gregg Turkington and cow patties and throwing shit.
Yeah. At each other, Ma.
Hey, to be fair, Gregg Turkington is an improv master, so he does relate to this.
I think that we should watch some videos on Whose Line Is It Anyway? Well, what about Second City Television? That was back in the day. Even Saturday Night Live is live television.
Yeah.
Which calls for improv.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Anyway. I have nothing to add.
Okay, then let's hit it.
Does Gregg have a gun?
What?
Does Gregg have a gun?
Did you just notice that?
I'm just saying. What is it? I mean, it looks like he has a gun.
It was supposed to be a tribute to James. It was supposed to be a tribute to James Bond. Yeah, and then like Tim completely ruined the segment.
Didn't James Bond have a had a fancy kind
Is that a gun in your pants, or are you just excited?
That's not. Was it that?
That's not appropriate.
Maybe. Anyway,
That's
let's continue.
okay.
Problem.
Problem. We're instantly reframing that. And I've seen it many times. The person who has the most challenging question is most likely to be your champion. They're the one who is going to be your biggest supporter when you work with them and are able to engage and turn around. The other thing I learned was when they ask a question that has a lot of energy behind it, don't answer. Say, tell me more. Or say, what thoughts do you have about that? Like, let them keep talking, because sometimes you're just misinterpreting that negative energy. It's just they're fired up in another way.
And the other thing, this is a story I tell in the class that Matt and I teach together. There was a time where I was pitching a TV show, and the person I pitched it to said to me, tell me why this isn't a sci-fi story. And I thought, this isn't a sci-fi story. It never occurred to me. Like, maybe there's some element. And I said, why do you say that? And it turned out that person's boss had been burned by the last 3 sci-fi stories that they had made. What this person was doing was actually asking me for ammunition that he could then take to his boss to sell my story. He was solving a problem that I didn't even know existed. And so rather than seeing that question as an attack, see it as this person is bringing information from outside of my headspace, right? Like, I wasn't aware of this. By bringing that question, he's bringing his concerns, and he was actually trying to help me.
What I love so much about that story is it brings together many.
Yeah, I can say that something like that, what he just said, that is something that you can use in your everyday life.
Yeah.
When you're thinking about things and you're introduced with new information or with a new perspective on things, and that can then change your mind and perspective on things. I think that's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
I think that it can be used maliciously and bad. I think sometimes people try to change your mind for the worse.
Oh, like in politics?
For example.
We're not going down that road again.
People try to change. Well, let's leave that for another class, right? But I think that's something that can definitely be used in life. The hardest part is trying to determine and decipher what stuff. Because it's all going to come at you. It's going to come at you fast. And people that you know and respect are like certain things that maybe you don't. And there might be pressure on you to agree with them.
Right. Sometimes people, and I'm not going to say who, but I think you know who, sometimes word things that try to encourage you to agree with them, and if you don't agree with them, then you're basically just quote unquote attacking them.
Right. You're getting it.
Yeah, and I mean there's such thing as having an open mind and being open to other people's opinions rather than just having to be forced to have somebody else's opinion because you're not allowed to think on your own.
And at the end of the day, you still have to live with yourself.
Yeah.
You still have to sleep at night, and you still have to look at yourself in the mirror, for lack of a better.
I'd rather not look at myself in the mirror, to be honest.
But you still have to live in your own skin, and you have to make decisions that you hope are best for you, and you take the information that. It's weird though because if you get information that counters what your beliefs
then it feels like you're just building an entire building and then demolishing it, because that's what you believed for so long, and then one piece of it, one wrong move on the Jenga tower, and it all falls apart.
but does that information deserve to be scrutinized? I think it does, because I mean, this is my belief. I can't just blindly believe this.
I mean, it
thing.
depends on how
I
accurate
have
the
to scrutinize
information. If it's real and if
Well,
it's,
that's what I mean. You have to do your homework.
I mean, yeah, if you've done your homework and if that thing turns out to be true and it completely destroys what you've already believed, I mean, you kind of have to
Right.
you kind of have to scramble and then like reorganize your entire thinking, the way you've thought about something.
But I mean, it could manifest into changing like everything I ever. I mean, not maybe it's not just this. Maybe it's everything I ever contemplated. Maybe it's everything.
And
I
then you
thought.
just go into an existential
Maybe
crisis.
guessing everything.
See, and
exactly. I mean, you may know something.
I've woken up a little bit
about
with
that.
existential crises before, however you say it.
And how do you cope with?
And how do you cope with something like that?
I kind of have to quiet my mind.
And that works.
Temporarily. I haven't really found a long-term solution besides, like, I guess, meds. But I should really be taking my meds. But that's not really what this is for. I mean, that's the curse of improv. Like, I mean, I have this mind that just kind of like flows out with information, but that also is a curse because like then my mind also can't shut up, and that's why that's why sometimes you see me up at like 5 or 6 in the morning unwillingly because my mind can't shut up.
I can relate to that. I don't know if I go through that type of thing,
but I understand what you mean.
Yes.
I do to a degree.
So anyway, I
I just wanted to mention that that's something that I think can be translated into the actual
world that we live in
beyond the theater.
That is the introduction of
new information to change our purview.
The only downside,
though, is that because you're getting it from all angles and from everywhere, to
determine
and decipher what is the good shit and what is the, because people are trying to
trick you too.
There's false shit out
Oh,
there.
for sure.
Or
it might be right information
that's
conveyed in a
Biased light.
sinister or underhanded way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
there's lots of different
variables at play.
The hard part
then is trying to just get the.
It's still tricky, but yes, I think
that's a good lesson there that they're teaching you about
being able to bring in
new information to hopefully change your worldview. Either better for worse, whatever it is,
but at least be
susceptible, or at least be open to
different
viewpoints.
And because maybe
you'll find out that you have been
Lied to.
wrong about
Or,
things.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's possible.
It's possible, right? I feel sometimes I feel that way, that I'm being deceived
on purpose
by people that know
what the answer is,
and they're trying to.
Oh, absolutely.
They're trying to use language and they're trying to say things in a certain way to protect themselves. Why would you need to do that if you're being on the up and up with me? Why would you need to do
Because
that?
people just got to protect themselves and their viewpoints and push their agenda.
I'm always
just a little apprehensive about people that directly
answer your questions,
and
because I'm not trying to hurt anybody.
I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just asking a simple question.
Right, and if you don't want to answer the question, just
simple answer.
like either say you're not comfortable answering the question.
That's fine.
Don't just try to mosey your way around
Don't
it.
bullshit
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
Or it's not that. It's don't bullshit me about it. Because I don't want to be bullshitted. I want to, if you know the answer and you're trying to
deliberately
deceive me, then I don't like that. And you can tell by the way that people
talk to you.
if they just won't answer your questions, then it's
what are you keeping?
what are you keeping
And if
from
you're,
me?
and
if you're,
I'm not
if
talking
it's,
about
I'm not
being
talking about being
uncomfortable
uncomfortable in all things like this. I'm talking like,
we had mentioned,
we had mentioned
politics earlier.
politics
Right.
earlier. I'm talking like a political type question.
Are you for
Are you for or against
this
Policy.
thing? Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Are
you for or against this policy? The answer is a direct yes or no. There is. If you give me some other bullshit other than that, then
you know what I mean?
you know what I mean? I just.
I don't want to hear it.
You're deceiving me. You're deceiving me, and I don't know why. Why are you deceiving me?
Well, I
That's
actually
all. That's
think
it.
that it's cause they can't they can't directly be blunt about it, or else people will they're trying to get people from both sides to see their points, and then people
No, they want.
And
they
then-
want to appeal to the most number of people, and without answering the question, it leaves it open to interpretation from both sides. I know why they do it.
I just don't like
I
it.
just don't like it. I like having my questions answered. That's all. That's it.
I actually don't
I
remember.
don't like it.
I actually don't remember how we got here. What prompted us?
We got here because
it's because the guy had paused on letting us know that to
be susceptible
be susceptible to
Right,
information
right.
coming in,
Okay.
how it can change your mind.
Okay, so we didn't go that far. We didn't go that far.
And then I'm just putting in the caveat. I'm just adding the caveat of being able to determine, because you're getting information from all sides, from everywhere, and it's to be able to determine what is the good information and what is the misinformation.
This is why we're so good.
I was just trying.
This is why we're so good at podcasting. I think we do a better podcast than these people, low key. I think we've had more to say.
They have good voices.
Although we do go off topic. Okay. Time to not go off topic. Let's continue. Unless you have anything. Okay.
I know. I don't.
You had to be present in the moment to see that that's what was going on. You had to take the offer that he was giving you and see it as an offer, that there was something of value there. So you really had to be present. You had to listen and have that
And I
process.
did paraphrase. I said, or I asked a question back, as Dan said, tell me more. Why? Where is this coming from? And it turned out the deeper source was something useful to both of them.
I think for folks who find themselves in situations where they're handling objections or taking questions, this advice and guidance is critical. You have to listen, you have to be open, you have to see how this is now an opportunity to expand and extend versus to just defend and entrench.
One thing that was very powerful that I learned was from you, Matt, which is to make this into a conversation rather than a performance. And that mindset shift of I'm presenting, I'm in front of a group, but it's much more like I'm in a conversation where I'm putting information out, you're giving information back, I'm taking that in and moving it forward. And that's a way to kind of demystify or take the anxiety out of these situations.
Absolutely. Being conversational always, I think, is beneficial. We've talked about a lot of really interesting, useful skills that people can use to feel more comfortable speaking in a spontaneous way. I'm curious if both of you would be willing to be a little spontaneous. We end each of these podcasts.
No, we talked about this. No, not this.
All right. So indulge me then.
I mean, yes.
Yes. So I'm going to ask each of you 3 questions that we end each podcast with. So we'll alternate back and forth. And we'll switch who goes first. So one of you will truly be being spontaneous. So Dan, I'm going to start with you. If you were to capture the best communication advice you've ever received as a 5 to 7 word presentation slide title, what would it be?
Adam already said it earlier. I just
Go ahead and answer your question.
Go ahead and answer your question. Answer the question.
What was the question?
Replay it.
Replay it.
Can you rewind?
Can you rewind?
Oh man. Why can't you just say the question?
Alternate back and forth. So, and we'll switch who goes first. So one of you will truly be being spontaneous. So, Dan, I'm going to start with you. If you were to capture the best communication advice you've ever received as a 5 to 7 word presentation slide title, what would it be?
Best communication.
Best communication.
Slide.
I still don't understand.
5 to 7
I
words.
still don't understand the question. How about?
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't either.
Oh.
I just thought it was something
that you knew because it was.
Well, I was more
talking
like
about.
daydreaming during the.
Okay. Let's hear what they have to
Let's
say.
hear what they have to say as far as just a brief summary of what.
If you were to capture the best advice, if you were
The best communication advice you've ever received as a 5
oh wait, I
to
think
7.
okay. Well, the best
Speak clearly, right?
Well, that's-
Clearly,
I think
concisely.
communication's more about listening than it is about speaking.
Speaking.
Okay.
Because
Okay, that's a good answer.
Okay, that's a good
'Cause if-
answer. I like it.
if you're not receiving what the other person is saying, then it's not really communication. You're just kind of, you might as well be talking to a wall, or you might as well be
Talking to a
Mark just
wall.
talking in one of his secret lives and have nobody listening. Oh, sorry, I just had to go there.
Fantastic.
But yeah.
No,
Fantastic.
But
I absolutely agree with what you
yeah,
just
I
said.
think the bottom line is listening is more
you know,
important
I-
than speaking. And you need to be
I said
fully
it was-
engaged with your partner, which is kind of ironic because I wasn't listening to the question originally. But when you're in a scene together, it really is integral to be listening to your partner or partners, because then, like, if you say something completely random, then it just goes off the rails, like the old 97. Anyways,
unless you reel it in and throw it back
What's
on
the
track.
yeah,
right?
they also had it was also way too damn wordy. I think it could have just been worded as, what is the best communication advice that you've received. So what is the best communication advice that you've received, Ed?
I thought it would be about having a clear and concise voice and getting your point across and that type of thing. But then when you mentioned, and this is also important about what they were saying earlier, I listened to what you said and changed my point of view because listening is a huge point of communication, and it got me to change my mind about it. I think you're right. I think listening is probably more important than even whatever the message.
Yeah,
might
I mean, it is of course clear to speak, or else the other person can't listen. So I mean, that is good advice.
Well, there's nothing to listen to,
Right,
otherwise,
yeah.
right?
There's nothing to listen to if you aren't speaking clearly and concise. So I mean, that is a good point. But
And you need to be relatable to the people you're speaking with, because the way some people are able to speak with an educated aristocratic type of person, right? Well-bred, upper crust, whatever
I
you
get
want to
what
call
you're
it.
saying.
Snoop,
bougie,
whatever you want to call it.
Bourgeoisie.
You talk to people in that way, and there's a different way that you would talk to the common person, the everyday middle class.
Right. I mean, if you were giving
person, and a different way that you would even talk to the lower rungs of.
well, I don't even think it's just about class. Like, if you were going to give like a presentation to like an old folks home versus a kindergarten class,
Yep. Very good, excellent.
You wouldn't talk to them the
And
same
maybe
way.
even where you're at. Yeah, where you're at. And who your audience is. I think that's
Right, because they've had like they've had different experience. They know different things. They've grown up in different environments. They've had different financial situations. you gotta definitely communicate to what they've experienced. You've gotta be relatable. You've gotta talk down to, well, not talk down, that sounds wrong, but you gotta talk to where they're coming from.
Talk
Exactly.
exactly. You're nailing it right
See,
on the head.
I could.
So communication is
Where the
very
hell
key.
is my fuck? Where the hell is my PhD? Maybe that's why. Can't even speak right.
I think both of those.
So I think both of those things are probably equal. Would you say, Ma? The ability to convey your message and the ability to receive.
It does. It takes two to make a conversation. Well, at least two. At least two. But it takes every party in the conversation to be able to do those things and to get somewhere.
To make it constructive and to get somewhere. Yeah, thank you. Yes, good.
Is that where my microphone is? I can't even tell where my microphone is. I don't know where it's picking up my sound.
I hear you perfectly.
I hear you perfectly.
Good. I'm hoping the computer. I don't know why I keep bringing this up because we're already almost an hour and a half in. Can you believe that?
I'm ready to continue.
Me too.
Do you have anything else to add?
Me too.
Word presentation slide title. What would it be?
Adam already said it earlier. I just want to pull it back in.
Yeah.
It is not about you.
Nice. Very good.
Nice. Very good. Adam, same question to you. What 5 to 7 words would be on your slide title? That was yours?
It's not about you, it's about them.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Credit. That's all right.
So,
Yeah, that's all right.
Adam,
So
I'll do a little
it's less original.
Yeah.
I didn't see them going
But I
there.
was present. and
What'd you say?
I didn't see them going
there.
No, I didn't
It's not
either.
about you.
It's not about
That's
you.
their slide
That's
title.
their slide title.
Yeah.
It's not about you.
It's not about you.
What is it about?
What is it about?
They're not answering
they're not answering the question. Is it about the scene? Is it about the
art itself?
The art itself? Is it about
being a cog in the
being a
machine?
cog?
I think it is a little bit about you as well as
the
it much
cog?
as about the other person, actually. I think rather than saying it's not about you, they should have just said it's not just about you. Because you are involved,
okay,
you are
good one.
adding your thoughts, and it is a little bit about you. Because you are on stage. Everybody is still looking at you. So it is a little bit about you. It's just not just about you.
I like that.
I like that. I like that a lot.
See,
like that.
where's my
I like that.
PhD? Where's my PhD?
You don't
need anything to be a professor.
I know. We
Sorry.
talked about
You
this
don't-
yesterday.
You can just be a homie that knows something about whatever subject.
What I'm just trying to say is that, like, I feel like, I mean, these people are like professors and stuff, and I feel like I'm only a third semester college student. I feel like I'm pretty well versed in this. A little. I mean, I'm not. I feel like I'm a little bit tooting my own horn, but I feel like I know my shit. You know, I've already made an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm not even finished yet. Like, I think that by the time that we do finish it, it'll be close to 2 hours. But, yeah. Let's go.
And I failed cheerfully.
And I failed cheerfully.
Who is a communicator that you admire and why?
You know who I really enjoy is Trevor Noah, the new, it's been years now, host of the Daily Show, and his autobiography audiobook. Just amazing. But what I like about him is a mix of, he does seem always present, he seems always him. You really feel his voice, but he can speak with authority. He can speak sometimes crassly or glibly, or sometimes like really kind of profoundly. So I enjoy the range that he brings, and yet it's always him.
So that authenticity.
Yeah, and specificity and naturalness.
Paused.
Yeah, really.
Who do you think is a good communicator?
God.
That was the question.
Was the question. I don't know. I think you're a good communicator, actually. I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, celebrities, but, celebrities always kind of... I can't really think of too many celebrities who really are themselves, really.
Can I ask you,
Do you think Joe Rogan is a good communicator?
I've, I, he does get like, so what I will give him is that he does get his points across. They're not always the right points, but I mean, he does always.
I don't know him at all, so I don't have no opinion one way or the other.
Well, I haven't seen too much of Joe Rogan because, he's kind of more far right, and I don't really go that way, but
Me either.
I mean, yeah, well, different conversation, but yes. But what I have seen of him, I mean, I don't like the shit he's saying, but like, obviously, like, I think, I don't even really like Trump, but what I will give him is that he is able, or Reagan, or like any of the conservatives, they know how to speak to their audience. They know how to get their point across to their people.
Yes.
Yes.
And do you disagree with that then, as far as the other side is concerned?
Do you think that they're not able to speak to their audience?
Because I would probably disagree with that.
I think both. I mean, I think there are people who, I mean, some of it's the fact that like there are some people who are gullible and are able to listen to like anything, but I think they also know what their audience is and what their audience wants to hear.
Any other
good communicators? What about the?
Didn't you have a? I don't know if you had an admiration for her or not, but the woman that was that passed away that was running YouTube.
Oh, Susan. I don't know how to say her last name. It was like Polish or something, but I know who you're talking about. Right. I don't know that much about her. A lot of people didn't like her. I don't know much about her to give an opinion one way or the other. I don't even know who the current CEO
We're only talking about her communication skills. We're not talking about if they're good people or
Well,
not.
I mean, I don't really know. I don't really know. I don't know her well enough. I didn't know her. I don't even know who the current CEO is, to be honest.
Me either. I
remember that you would,
or that you and one of your friends
were
just remembering
her
one time.
a while back.
Shiny, right?
Maybe Shiny.
Oh, I love Shiny.
Maybe.
Yeah, Shiny's cool.
Yeah, Shiny's cool.
Yeah, he is.
We haven't. Oh no. I was
gonna say he did.
Up a line the other day.
He hasn't been that active recently.
No. But yes, I did.
I did see that he had dropped a line there a day or two ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, he just.
I think I even gave him.
He got a job. He got a job
anyway.
recently, and like considering he's been a NEET for most of his life, I'm proud of him. He's contributing to society.
Oh.
I wonder
any other communicators in your life, or any other communicators that you know
Not
of?
really that I can think of. I wonder if Shiny's using improv in his everyday life. You think so?
Yes, I think that
everyone uses improv in their everyday life because, like I mentioned earlier, life comes at you in different ways, and
there isn't a script
for it. You have to. Everyone
is partaking in
improv. Everyone has decisions to make. Unfortunate that we don't get to find out if the decisions we make are the best ones that we could have made. We can only determine
go forward.
decisions But we can also determine if our decisions put us in a bad spot or not. You know what I mean? If you're in a neutral spot, or if you're in a better spot than you were before the decision was made, then that's a good thing. That's what you want. I mean, even a no, an indifferent outcome is still better than a bad outcome to me. Anyway, so good communicators. Someone like Stephen Jobs. Do you remember him, the Apple guy?
I think he just go by Steve. He died when I was 6
Okay.
years old, but like I do know who he is. I do know about his turtlenecks, and I do know that he was very good at marketing, very much able to sell his products. So yes, if you were about to ask me if I think
Yes.
he was a good communicator, I do think yes. If he wasn't a good communicator, I don't think Apple would be what it is today.
Well, I mean, I agree with you to an extent. I mean, I don't own Apple products or anything, but because they're expensive. It's not just that he was a marketer and was able to sell his products, but I mean, his products sold themselves too. It was a combination of things. From what I understand, like I said, I don't have Apple products.
Yeah, same. I've never had an Apple
Good
product.
communicator.
I don't even know how to use a MacBook.
Yeah.
Oh, me neither.
I've never used an Apple product as far as I know.
I have used one, but like it was for a research project, and that was the computer that they gave me. But yeah, that was pretty much the only time.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a summer research. I used to go do these research summer camps back during my elementary school and middle school years.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I grew too old for it. I don't even know if they still do
You
that.
think politicians are good communicators? You think politicians are good communicators? I mean, they have to be by.
Well, I mean, we were already talking about that earlier.
You would think.
That entirely depends on which politician you're talking about. There are politicians who are good at their job, and there are politicians who are not good at their job.
Well, is their job communication, or is their job legislation? You know, what is their job?
It's not the point.
That's not the point. The point is that communication.
And what I'm thinking about
is, you know,
what about teachers?
What about teachers? What about your professor?
They need to be good.
Do they need to be good communicators for you to be able to learn
the tasks that
you're
being told to learn.
Well, I think
learn?
that's.
You would think.
I think that's a very
You would
obvious
think,
question.
right?
If you're teaching is quite literally communicating. If you're not communicating it well,
Yeah.
the students don't learn, and that also goes on the student itself. If the student isn't communicating their situation, how is the teacher supposed to know? It's communication on both sides, and you got to work it out to get the desired grade. That's how you get the grade. The grade you get isn't based off of what you know or what you don't know. It's what you've communicated with your professor, basically.
Okay.
And
how would you grade this professor? Hello, professor. How would you grade this professor's communication skills? Because that's part
Which
of the
one?
grade.
I
That's
have
part of the
multiple
grade
professors.
also.
Oh, you mean the Scott? Oh, Scott is an extremely good communicator. He
Okay, good.
he spends a lot of class communicating actually, but he does get his point across, and he also uses. I think teachers who use examples and apply it to students everyday lives. I think if you give a student a reason to want to learn about, if you give them a reason to care, they will care.
I agree with that.
So
Motivation.
yeah, so I think it's what we were talking about earlier. In a classroom setting, you gotta talk to your students. You gotta talk to their backgrounds and what they've already know. That's why that's why you have some professors like get an idea of where students are already at. That's because that's communication. That like your grade is a symbol of like your communication with your professors, like what they've taught you and what you've tried to learn back, like how you've tried to respond and listen to that, if that makes sense.
You're in academia. You're in academia. What about
Oh, that's a fancy ass word for it.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I'm trying to be fancy for your class here. What about teachers? Do you have any poor communicators for teachers?
If not
in your university, then at least in your high school or maybe even beyond.
I haven't had so many like so far. In my college career, I did have some in middle and high school, and I didn't get good grades in those classes. And like, some of it I will take credit for, but some of it's also like, if a teacher isn't teaching well, you're just not gonna get like your point across. And I've seen some teachers, some of them were mine, some of them were teachers my friends have had, like my friend's AP Bio teacher is like really well versed in AP Bio, got all the qualifications and like knows a lot of stuff, but that's not all it takes to be a teacher. It also takes great communication skills. If you are making tests just for the sake of making tests and making your class as hard as it is, and students aren't able to receive any of that, you aren't gonna get you aren't gonna have students passing.
Yeah.
And you don't want that.
You're exactly right.
You're exactly right. How you have to relate to your students, right? And your students are coming from all walks of life, which means that this professor, this teacher, this whoever has to communicate with an entire classroom of people from all different walks of life, from all different parts of the country, all different parts of the world,
and convey
one message, a singular message for all of those individuals to
latch onto.
That sounds like a monumental task, doesn't it?
Like
doesn't it sound like a tremendous
task to
overcome, to
when you break it down
when you break it down like that?
Yeah, it does. But I mean, if you're passionate about it, it doesn't come as hard if you care about it and if you've put in the work.
Okay, so that being said,
then I'm going to ask you one last time before we move on.
Best communicators.
Your top communicators.
Yes. Well, that's not really something you ask somebody, really. I mean, you ask people for like their favorite singer, their favorite, their favorite artist.
Well, it's improv.
I know, but like, oh jeez, like you don't really ask somebody. Imagine going up to the street and being like, "Hey, who is your favorite communicator?" I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of
yes and
yes.
Oh my gosh, you sound like my professor right now. I mean, there's not really one single best communicator because there's people who like communicate differently. I mean, for you, I think you're a great communicator, even if you don't think you are because you start to ramble a lot. I think you make a lot of great points and you are open-minded. And I think just in general, somebody who is willing to listen and have an open mind is generally a great communicator. And I don't think there really is just a best. People in my life, I can only really speak to people in my life because it's hard to really talk about like celebrities. I mean, I guess objectively they are good communicators, but like I'm thinking of people who have interacted with me and who have helped me get far in life, like my professors.
Correct.
And that's what I'm
asking you because that's what applies to you in your life or the people that you know.
And I think my professors are I think my professors have communicated that they're open during their office hours and that they're willing to talk about my grades and what I can do to improve it and what I can like retake or resubmit or like extra things that I can do. I mean, I appreciate people like that.
Maximize those
What?
opportunities.
You maximize
You maximize those opportunities.
They're afforded to you.
They're afforded to you. Do you maximize them?
I wouldn't
take
say
advantage?
Take
maximize. I take most, but like sometimes not all. I think I take ones that like I know that like are necessary to take, if that makes sense. Like
It does.
if I don't need if something's not like absolutely necessary, I won't take it. But if I see something, if I know or at least have a gut feeling that an opportunity will benefit me, like getting an extra credit, if I know that will benefit me rather than just having busy work at the end, then yes, I will take that opportunity.
Of course.
And you're able to
do a good job of deciphering if it's busy work or if it's something that you're able to.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think I have a pretty good judgment on that.
And
what is your current grade in this class? Do you
Oh,
know?
well, Scott's a very lenient grader because he doesn't give up too many like tests. As long as you like participate and like show up. This is actually one of the rare anomaly assignments that he posts, but sometimes I actually forget that he does have assignments. I mean, this is kind of due tonight, but
It's due tonight.
it is due tonight. Yeah,
Okay, so let's
it's
finish this off then.
no, it's fine. We only got a few more minutes. You want to continue? But like I was saying, I mean, as long as you show up, do the work, you would have to be trying to not get a good grade in his class, is what I'm trying to say.
You basically
not showing up.
It's just basically participating, providing your thoughts. You know, Scott's not a traditional professor, and like I'm not a traditional learner, so I guess that's why I'm a theater major. Anyways, let's continue.
Go ahead, let's do it.
So Dan, who's a communicator that you admire?
I'm going to go a little bit obscure here. Almost 20 years ago, I went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. There was a British comedian storyteller named Daniel Kitson who was hosting there's an event called Late and Live. And Late and Live was notorious because it was at midnight and the crowd would be packed. And it was, and you get a random collection of stand-up comics, and they were handling hecklers, just pure, like that was the culture of that environment. Daniel was the host of it, and he was so masterful at playing with what people would shout out. He would disarm them so easily. He was so present, not high status, not aggressive, very calm and comfortable, but so comfortable in his own skin. And he would name exactly what was there in the room.
That's cool. So usually the third question that I ask the person to give 3 ingredients that go into a successful communication recipe. But I'm going to turn this into a little bit of an improv game. So instead of each of you telling 3, let's each, and I'll play as well, say 1 ingredient that you would put in the recipe. So Adam, what's one thing you would put in?
Cinnamon.
Oh, excellent. No, I'm sorry.
How do I say this? You build up a trust in yourself over time, and by putting yourself out there in safer ways, and then increasingly you get more and more comfort. I think ultimately having some trust in yourself is a really powerful ingredient.
Here's something we haven't quite talked about, but it fits in everything. Plan the talk. Be ready. Do the research. Think about the audience and their needs. But in the moment when you're delivering, use an opportunity to pay attention. Like meet people beforehand in the room. Have some quick conversation. Listen to the speaker right before you, and use something from the room in your talk. You don't have to change everything you're going to do, but reference something that's come up on that day in that moment, so that your talk is particular to that space and that.
So I like this notion of trust yourself, be ready. And I would add to this, Have
We put a
fun.
lot of pressure
We put
on
a lot of
ourselves.
pressure on
I'll
ourselves.
never forget
I'll never forget when I went for my first martial arts black belt. Somebody I trust and a mentor. Right before I went to do the test, he looked at me and said, "Have fun." And I was in total utter shock. How can this be fun? This is something that's going to be torturous. But taking that approach really made a big difference. I think those three ingredients would make for a wonderful spontaneous speaker.
Thank you for that. And
Thank you for that. And thank you for joining today. I really hope that people listening in take to heart the advice that we gave.
It's about the approach.
It's about the approach you
It's
take.
about having that
It's about having that open mindset, being present, listening, relying on structure, trusting in yourself. Taken together, those are the skills that will help somebody become a better spontaneous speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've just listened to Think Fast, Talk Smart,
a podcast produced by
All
Stanford's
right, we
graduate
don't
school.
need to hear about your.
Okay, it's over.
Yeah, it's
I think the
command
ending was the
all-
most we've ever like listened to it on pause. You know, I think previously we kept like pausing like every 10 seconds or whatever. I mean, we're almost 2 hours in, and this video is only 22 minutes long. I mean, that's actually genuinely insane, and I'm a little proud of ourselves that we were able to turn a 20-something minute podcast and provide our thoughts and turn it into like a 2-hour conversation.
Sure.
Now, you realize that
kind of
strayed a bit.
We did,
There
but
might be
about half an hour of that 2 hours. There may be, about things that are topic at hand.
the things that are not topic at hand. Oh no. Yeah. Well, you know, you got what I mean. That is a part of the improv, though. I mean, is straying away, and well, I mean, as long as you're able to come back to the conversation, though. I mean, but it's all natural. I mean, we were naturally able to come to those topics.
If you're good with it, if you're happy with it, then
I'm happy with it.
I wanted to.
Okay, good.
I wanted to
talk about the
very last part that
they had mentioned.
Okay. Yeah.
I know that I wanted
to, but I don't recall.
Do you want to rewind?
But it was just the last.
Do you want me to rewind?
Minute and a half.
90 seconds.
There you go. Okay.
How do I say this? You build up a trust in yourself over time, and by putting yourself out there in safer ways, and then increasingly you get more and more comfort. I think ultimately having some trust in yourself is a really powerful ingredient.
Here's something we haven't quite talked about, but it fits in everything. Plan a talk, be ready.
Yeah.
You have your thoughts?
Yeah. So I had asked you at the end there, do you command a room when you walk into in your real life? I'm talking.
No, not as Dr. Lydia Lyle Sterling. Not really. I kind of just. I mean.
Are you a background character, Ma?
That entirely depends on the setting. If I'm in like a room of like if I'm in like a room of like a bunch of people and like I don't need to be up front, I won't be up front. But if there's a room of silence, like I've had Zoom meetings for my job where we go to breakout rooms and like there's a talk of like there's a question up there and there's nobody really talking, and so I kind of sometimes I put myself in a position where like I have to like get the ball rolling and I have to moderate things, but like it's only really if like I'll wait till like if somebody else puts themselves in the position first, and if nobody else does, then I'll be like, okay, then I guess I'll take that role. But
I ask you a follow-up
I ask you a follow-up to
Okay.
that? Let's suppose that you allow someone to take that role.
Okay.
And you then, while that person is in that role, you are able to see
Oh,
that maybe
fuck me.
this
Oh, no,
person
no,
is
no, no,
do-
no,
do
no.
the
Oh,
research.
shit. That's not what I meant to do. Hold on. The computer shut off. That's not what I meant
Okay.
to have happen. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. It could have waited
No,
10 more
please,
minutes.
take care of you.
It literally
Take care.
just could have waited 10
No,
more
no,
minutes and we
take care
would
of
have
it.
been fine. Okay. Um, I am very sorry about that. Can ask that again.
Oh, I'm just trying to recall.
I'm so sorry that happened.
It,
That was the TV.
I was just talking about how you command a room.
It was your follow-up
I
question.
just find it right. Oh, you said that you would defer to
I
someone
would,
else,
yes.
or at least wait for someone else to pick up that slack. Let's suppose that you determine that this person, as they're doing it, is falling short.
Oh,
Are you the kind of person
not
that
really. If I'm being brutally honest,
would you allow them to then have your
usually
feelings
somebody else
be
would like
short?
speak up about it before I do. I'm usually not the if I'm being honest,
Oh.
I'm not really the I know I'm blunt, but I'm not like assertive because I know that like sometimes my mouth gets like sometimes I always have this fear that like because in the past sometimes my impulsivity leads me to say things that I don't mean and I worry that like if I criticize somebody else's leadership then like they're gonna turn on me and then the criticism is gonna go back on me and I just don't want all of that. You know what I'm saying, right? Yeah.
Right. I do know what you're saying, but is that doing a disservice to you and to the other people?
I mean, it probably
not.
is if I'm being brutally honest, but it's always just been my habit that like I kind of only take the leadership position if I have to. I don't really consider myself a born leader. And I guess that's good because like I mean cuz I already said earlier like I need like a prompt. I need you. I need you to like guide my thoughts. Yeah, I can't really there's not much that I can do by myself and I really don't know like I'm not really qualified to lead most of the time because like sometimes my anxiety just freezes up and like sometimes I'm not even in control of myself. So how can I be in control of other people if I'm not in control of myself?
Well, that leads into what the person was then saying at the end there. How much confidence do you have in you? How much trust do you have in you, in who you
I don't
are?
really.
Can I tell you
What?
something, Mom? Can I tell you something?
What?
I have trust in you. You know how I know
Well,
that?
I need your trust. I need somebody else's trust. I can't go on my own trust because, you know, I have
No,
thoughts in my
but that's
head
just.
and there's.
Did I say
What?
something? I think that it is simpatico then, you know, it's symbiotic because where you may need me for you to be you, I kind of need you to be you so that I can be me. Do you know what I
I
mean?
know.
So it
For
kind of
Well,
play off
that's
of each
why
other
we've
like that.
been able to talk so long. I mean, because we're great conversation partners.
I agree with that.
All right, so we got about a few minutes left, and
Well,
Oh,
how much? But before that, then how much? Before let's end this. How much trust do you have in yourself? That was the last question from the video.
if if somebody else has trust in me, then I'll have a little bit more trust in
I do.
myself. But if I don't have anybody else's confidence, then I'm kind of on my own here, and then then I'll start to doubt myself, and I'll get like a little bit of imposter syndrome, like I'm not meant to be here. So I really do build off of other people's confidence in order to have my own.
I talk about Survivor for a second.
You can after. I mean, does it relate to this topic?
Yes. It does very
Okay.
much so. Do you know Sue?
Everybody knows
Survivor?
Sue. She's my favorite. I'm rooting for her.
Okay. Well, let me just say this then. When I saw her, when my impression of her coming in was that she's the old lady. She's going to be the first one out. Who needs Sue?
I need Sue.
Do you know what Sue did? Sue has so much trust in who she is and so much faith in who she is that she showed me. She showed everybody on the island. She showed you. She showed everybody on TV that she belongs. I think she could win the game.
I hope she wins the game. I'm really hoping she is, because, I mean...
That's how it ties all in, Ma, because she's someone that you may not expect a lot from. You may look at her and you may not, because I mean, look at her, right? She's an old lady. You can see that she's trying to stay young, right? You can see that she's had work done. You can see that she's trying to hold on to something. But I see past all of that. I see that she is someone not to be fucked with. Sorry, Professor.
Oh, no, Scott, it's okay. Scott says fuck and shit in his classes all the time. He is... Don't worry about Scott. As long as you're not saying, like, any racial slurs or anything, I think you'll be fine. But
no,
you're not the type of person to say
I'll save those
slurs
for
anyway.
after the camera's over.
Anyways, continue.
I'll save the racist stuff.
What? Okay, you're bad. Get out.
But Sue is somebody that is somebody that I see, that someone that you know of, that I know of, that we can talk about. That has that inner strength that he was talking about. Someone that maybe others don't see it, but that you have so much confidence in yourself, that the people around you, and the people that are seeing it from the outside, they can't help but have that confidence in you too. I know that you're going through a thing, Ma, and I know that you're saying that maybe it's not fair, especially if you're alone or on your own.
Yeah.
But I've seen it, Ma. I've seen it, and
When I was playing,
you've got it.
when I was Dr. Sterling, I had the entire character commanded the room. She demanded confidence, and sometimes I kind of have to go into like a little character or something to like build off the confidence as well, because when I'm just myself, I'm a very insecure person, so I have to tap into. If I don't tap into something else, I have to someone else giving me that confidence. I guess the alternative is just playing a character that is confident, and hopefully that translates into actual genuine confidence.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. Do you know the biggest room? The biggest room in the world right now is probably the internet. There's millions of people in this room, Ma. And I've seen how you are on the internet.
I'm a lot.
Maybe it's the anonymity. Maybe it's
not knowing you, or that you're safe in your room when you're online. Maybe it's those
I
things.
mean, when I'm talking to you, when I talk to you, or when I talk to any of my other friends, I mean, you might be online, but I've known a lot of you longer than I've known some people, more than I know people in real life, and we've had conversations together that, like, you know almost everything there is to know about me, and vice versa, and I mean,
Right.
I'm more able to
It's
I'm
true.
more able to be myself around you, but sometimes in real life I kind of have to more like tap into like a persona, cuz I'm an introvert. I really don't like people, so like sometimes I guess maybe it's a coping mechanism to cope with like my social anxiety. I think maybe. Ugh.
It could
It
be.
could be, yeah.
Could be. That's why I would never go on a reality show though.
I would not do well in a reality. Maybe like
Ever.
the only one I could,
None of them. I don't care. It doesn't. It could be traitors. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't
the only
do
one
well.
that I could like
Even
do kind of well is
even
like the
Amazing Race.
Amazing Race.
Anything.
Mostly because like you don't
No,
really,
not even.
the Amazing Race doesn't really have to rely on your social game. It kind of relies more on like you. I mean, sometimes it does. Like sometimes like they form alliances, but that's not really what like the main goal. Like you don't have to. The other games like Survivor, Traders, Big Brother, they rely on you having to be confident in yourself and having to have a good social game. And but Amazing Race, you kind of just only have to interact with your partner, and I think that's. But that's also, I mean, I guess there is like a little bit of like.
But isn't that where the bond comes in, Ma? It's not with the other people. It's with that
Yeah, but that's
one
already a
other person.
pre-established bond. You don't have to create a bond.
But it's
And I mean, I guess.
but it's like the episode. Do you remember how we were talking earlier, Ma, about how you have those episodes that don't really move the plot
The
forward,
bottle
but
episodes.
they're just there
Yes.
to build character? That's exactly what the Amazing Race is. It's these people that already know each other, right? But they're character building in front of all of us, and with themselves. Because don't you hear their stories at the end, Mom, when they get to the end about how they've been married for however many years,
Or
but
known each other.
but this journey is the one that, you know what I mean, that really brought them
It puts
to a
them in a
place
place
of.
of pressure because,
I've heard the stories, Ma. I've heard the stories.
I mean, it puts
So
the relationship to the test.
even a show like The Amazing Race works, is what I'm getting at. Even that creates those bonds. The communication, I mean. 'Cause that's what we're talking about. That's the whole topic of all this, is the communication and
Communication, confidence.
who you are inside.
I mean, if you
exactly.
aren't
Your
confident in
confidence.
yourself, and especially your partner, then you're not going to do well in the challenges. You're going to start panicking, and that's just not going to do you
Exactly.
well.
Haven't we seen examples of
Time
that
after
in
time
Amazing
after
Race,
time,
where they're not
countless,
confident in each other,
countless.
and they yes, and how they don't do well when they lose that confidence in each other, and where other ones where maybe you didn't know that they even could accomplish it. It's because of that confidence they have in each other that did allow them to persevere and get through. So, we've seen all the whole gambit, haven't we? We've watched it all.
I am so excited for that show to come back. March 5th, baby.
Here we go.
Three
Here we
more
go, we're
months.
in.
3 more months. You know, it's actually crazy that the next
any
Survivor
last-
season is going to start before the next Amazing Race, and we're still in a Survivor
not
season
fair.
right now.
That's not fair.
I know, it doesn't feel fair.
That's not fair.
It feels like
no.
we've been like, the last season was filmed in like 2022. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, it feels like Amazing Race is taking longer than, you know, it feels like Amazing Race is taking longer to air more seasons than the other shows, which is really sad because there was a time where they used to do 2 seasons a year, just like Survivor did.
They may get back on track now that COVID is a thing of the past.
I'm hoping. I'm really hoping. Because I miss that show. And, like, I don't know my Amazing Race trivia as well as the other two shows because, like, it feels like there's always such a long gap, and I always feel like I just forget everything after a season ends. Sometimes they even forget the winners.
I want to keep talking to you, Maul, but do you want to close this recording off or out before we do that?
Well,
is there any last words that you have regarding this podcast?
Cass, are you still in here? You haven't said something close to an hour, and you're in the chat. Is there anything that you want to add to this? Have you been listening, Cass?
It's cool here.
I'm in listening. It's cold here. Cold. Brr.
Yeah. I put a burr face.
I second that. Okay, you are still here. Good, because I know there are times.
There she is.
She's typing. There are some times, especially like when it gets past 10:30, I can never trust you to be awake. You're always like that. It's usually the time where you start to fall asleep.
That's messed up because
so tired and cold. That has nothing to do with this podcast. Have you been listening to the podcast at all?
Oh yeah. Cass, let's hear at least a couple of thoughts. I bet you that her fingers are cold.
We've been waiting for you. The reason why we were waiting for you is because I wanted to hear your thoughts as well. I mean, even if they were typed thoughts, they're still your thoughts, and I wanted to include you in this because, well, you're one of my best friends.
Well, not only are you one of my best friends, but I wanted to hear your thoughts as well.
Yes.
I think it's great that all of us are kind of very good friends with each other. Because I think you're a very good friend, Maul, and I know that Cass is a good friend of mine.
I try to be a good friend, even though sometimes I'm just a natural asshole.
You are a good friend. You are a good friend.
Hey, what is that?
That has nothing to...
What is that, Cass?
That has nothing to do with improv.
Okay. Oh, it's okay.
I'm waiting to hear Cass's thoughts about the improv. That's... That's SN accident.
Oh my goodness. Pass. Are you okay?
It must be super cold. Waiting to hear your thoughts, Cass.
Must be freezing. We can move forward.
I don't know what to say.
Okay.
Well, that's.
But you were listening along the whole way, right? You did hear what the whole thing was about. It was about improv and about how. Scroll up a little bit. Let's see if we addressed everything well.
Scroll up? What do you mean by scroll up?
Let's see.
Yeah, I got it.
Never mind. I'm gonna do it. After listening, note two takeaways that you can use and will use in other courses throughout your college career.
What
resonated with you? Why? What maxims do you hear in this podcast? Are the lessons learned valuable?
I always read that as Marxism.
Most importantly, how will you use those takeaways in the future, no matter where your future takes you?
I hope whatever my future takes me, it's in a good place. Because sometimes I do doubt that. I mean, I guess my biggest takeaway is, there wasn't really too much in here that I haven't already learned in class between my my FILA class, which was with Scott, which was basically similar to improv, and the improv class I'm taking now, and also his other classes like acting and all that stuff. I've taken a lot of classes and I've learned, I think I have a lot of information already, but I think a biggest takeaway in general is that you just have to, not only do you have to be a good communicator, but you have to also, I guess, just be ready for what's coming to you. Plan. So you have to find a good medium. I think the general thing besides communication is you have to find a general medium between, being prepared, and you have to still be a little prepared. You have to find a good balance between being prepared and being ready. I guess that's also being prepared. You have to be prepared to not be prepared. There you go. There you go. I got it. I got it. I hit it.
You tied it all.
I tied it all together. That's my slideshow. Be prepared to not be prepared. Those are my final words. Now, Ed, it's time to go.
Wow, and that's actually not bad. That's actually not bad. Now that when you put it like that and you say it like,
and it's catchy
like that, and then hearing what their answer was, then you heard what their answer was, and it was like, man, that really fits. That's pretty good, Mom.
Well, what would you say? What were some of your key takeaways from this? Won't be as good as mine, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Well, it's not. Well, of course, it's not going to be at least as insightful because you're already in this world. But I kind of was.
Well,
at first I was kind of off put because I was hearing this person say, things that because I thought that he was talking about not just public speaking, but like world in general. And I'm seeing now that he wasn't. That's not what he was talking about. That's what your professor wants you to try to tie together. But that's not what these guys on the podcast were doing necessarily. So I kind of misjudged, I guess. And that's part of what listening is too, right? Going in with some kind of preconceived notion and then listening my way out of it by just giving them a chance to explain themselves. I think that's what you were talking about earlier, as far as being a good listener.
Exactly.
Maybe if I would have just listened a little more, then maybe.
Well, I mean, you are more open. I mean, you were more open to what they were saying, though, right?
Well, I mean, it's just that what I was hearing them say. If I were to apply that in the real world, I wouldn't want to hear it.
And I understand, and I mean, I like the fact that you were able to disagree with them, because, like, sometimes it kind of feels like, especially with people with higher authority, that like these people have like PhDs in their field. Like, you're supposed, like, it almost kind of feels like you have to take everything they say and just go along with it. But I think it's good that you disagree, because it shows that, like, it's okay to disagree with these people, even if they, like, I mean, these are still humans with, like, they're more educated thoughts, but these are still thoughts, and it's okay to disagree with them. And if it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you, because these people still have not lived your life and walked your walk and talked your talk.
And I agree with that. The thing is, though, is that as I listened to them, though, it's not that I disagreed with them. It's that the premise that I created in my head wasn't there. They weren't talking about how your professor is asking how these things can apply to your world outside of this. That's not what their task was to do. That's where I kind of conflated what he was asking and what they were saying as being the same thing, and it wasn't.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
that's where listening came in for me, and that's why I was able to then accept what they were saying for what it was, instead of for trying to think that they were trying to talk about applying those things to the real world, when that's not what they're doing. That's what your professor is asking.
And I think
And as far as that part of it goes, that part of it wouldn't be the part that would apply to the world. It would be the other parts that they're talking about,
and I think it's
which we
I
touched
think
on.
it's I think it's good to like watch this just as it is, like kind of just talk naturally and just kind of forget about the assignment, because then you're then like you start having the assignment in your head, and then you start forgetting about what this is, and then like you have to like refocus. So I think it's better to just watch it as it is and just learn from the video itself, as if like you were just going in as like a regular person and not as somebody who was tasked to watch it.
Okay, no, I understand what you mean by that, and it does make sense. Unfortunately, I have these mental blocks in my
I
head where
get
I
it. I
can't.
do too.
It's hard for me to just enjoy shit just for the sheer
I
thing of
get
enjoying
that
it.
so much.
If I'm tasked to do it, then it becomes work for me.
Exactly. So I think it's more relaxing just to have like a conversation and to just have fun with it. And I think this was very fun, and I'm glad that you were here, and I'm glad Cass is here, even though even though she's kind of just been chilling and hasn't provided any vocal thoughts, she has provided some thoughts. She said we can move forward. Yeah, that's what I was saying. We can definitely move forward and try not to live in the past too much, live in the present, and the past keeps going, the present keeps going forward, so we must go forward along with it. Try not to dwell on the past too much. And I also like your comments about improv. I like improv. Drag Race has a lot of improv moments. It does. It really does. And those drag queens, I mean, they just go out and have fun with it. And I think I think that also is one of the lessons. As well as be prepared to don't be prepared or something like that, or whatever I said earlier that was smart. Also just have fun with it. Don't try not to like think of it. I mean, think a little, but don't think too much, Happy medium, happy balance. Dear Lord, my throat hurts.
No, that sounds good. I couldn't have put it even. I couldn't have probably even put it better, because you summed it up very nicely, I think. The only other thing I guess would be Drag Race. That as far as the improv goes, I think that there's a lot to be said with that, because they would only get a couple of bullet points, and then from there these people will have to create like entire scenes just based off of a bullet point. And I think that's and 5 different people will get 5 different scenes from the same bullets. I think that's pretty neat. I think Cass brings up a good point as far as the improv factor on Drag Race goes.
Yes,
not that I have a lot of knowledge.
Yeah,
there,
I haven't watched too much Drag Race. I should, because most drag queens are pretty cool, and I did go to a drag show in April, and I should show you the picture I took with a bunch of drag queens. I think it was a beautiful picture. And I think as soon as we get off of here in about a minute, and as soon as I make sure everything is okay, and like I said, I am still praying that it picked me up and picked you up, and that there's no issues, because that would be 2.5 hours down the damn drain, and I don't want that. But as soon as I get off of there, I will show you the picture I took back in April with a bunch of drag queens. I think you would like that picture. I would. You would. I know you would. As you should. I think Cass would too, so. But
you have to share it with us.
I will share it with you. I promise.
Thank you. Thank you.
But so I guess thank you for
Thank you.
thank you for joining. Thank you, Cass, for joining, and thank you, Scott, for listening. If I'm praying you made it to the end. And
Doubtful.
stop it. And thank you to anybody else who decided to come in the end, and I'll see you next time.